So Chris is out there and he set up a time lapse. You can see through our dirty door. He is using his cell phone with a creative little stool to capture the sunset, which will probably be just beautiful, but maybe not. I guess we will see. Hey guys, it's Jen here with the Sunshine Farm. Today I want to share with you what I love about homesteading in the Northeast, and specifically in upstate New York, where our little Sunshine Farm is. So beautiful. Well, the chickens are having a party over there. So since I've joined this YouTube community and have seen some amazing channels and content out there, I've noticed that there aren't that many Northeast homesteaders here on YouTube. I wanted to kind of share a little bit about what it's like homesteading here in upstate New York and in the Northeast, and help those of you who may be thinking about moving here or who may not really understand what it's like having a shorter growing season have a little bit of a better perspective on what our life looks like here in upstate New York. I was inspired to make this video because I saw Morgan over at Gulcha Farm make a video about why he likes homesteading in the cold, and I really related to that and I wanted to share our experience. I also think not everybody has the luxury of being able to pick where they're going to live. I mean, that's an awesome thing. If you can just choose the state where you want to live, and you can pick any place in the country and settle down, that's amazing. I am jealous. But not everybody has that luxury. Some people are tied to a certain area because of their family business, or their family members live there. They might have a lot of history in a certain area and they might not want to leave. And so if you're in the Northeast, I want to encourage you guys. There are some really great reasons to stay here and to enjoy life homesteading out here. Also, if you're in the Northeast and you think, I can't homestead until I leave, well, that's not true. You can homestead up here. So we are located pretty far north. We're pretty close to Canada, about a couple hours away. But our climate looks a little bit different than a lot of people in the Northeast because of the way we're situated near the Great Lakes. We do get a little bit warmer weather. It's not quite as cold as you might imagine. You might see pictures and videos from up here and think, wow, that looks really cold. This winter's actually been pretty mild. So not on this channel probably so far, but we do get a ton of snow. It's actually one of the snowiest cities in the US. But our average temperatures in the winter are probably in the high 20s and 30s. We're not getting like tons of single digit days here. So it may not be as cold as you think. Also, our growing season is a little bit longer than some other places in the Northeast. We have friends that live in Maine, and I know we are getting things started a couple weeks earlier and we're finishing a couple weeks later than they are. So we have about an extra month. Why are you crying so much? What? Why are you crying? What? Yeah? We have about 5 to 6 months of growing, so it's about half our year. So it's not too short, but obviously it's not terribly long. But if you do have like a greenhouse or a hoop house, you can grow a lot of things all year long, and that can really extend your growing season. We don't have that yet, so unfortunately we are not growing anything at the moment, but hopefully in the future that changes and we can grow some things that are more cold tolerant in the winter. And eventually, if we can heat our greenhouse, we'll be able to grow things. We'll be able to grow lots of things in the winter. Chris is actually starting to research geothermal heating for greenhouses. We saw that idea through Lumna Acres, and he had shared where he heard it from a farmer in Nebraska. So we were really excited about the idea. As you may know, Chris is an energy engineer, so he is all about sustainability, energy efficiency, and trying to come up with creative ways to use natural resources to produce energy. So since we don't have a greenhouse, we really are limited to growing things starting in May, and then a lot of stuff for us died off in mid-October when we got a really cold day. But there really are some benefits to living in a climate like this. I think the biggest benefit is that even though our growing season is shorter than in many places, we can grow a lot of things here because we do not get the intense heat in the summertime. So a lot of things can grow in the summer. I mean, I was growing carrots and radishes all summer long, and a lot of places, they're not going to do very well in the middle of summer, especially carrots. So certain things like melons may not do amazingly well because they really want those hot, long seasons. But a lot of food does grow really well, and in some ways, in many ways, may grow a lot better here than in some longer growing seasons. One of the big benefits to homesteading up here in upstate New York is the freezing ground in the wintertime and a break from mud. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of mud. But I am a fan of places that get enough water to support green pastures, luscious gardens, and so you kind of get both. When you get the rain for your garden, you're also getting the saturated ground, which leads to mud, oftentimes in the fall and spring. And then in a lot of places, it also is that way in the winter. But for us, many times, the ground freezes, giving us a break from that frustrating mud mess. Actually, right now is an exception for us because it's like in the 40s. I'm not even wearing a coat in the middle of January. Should be one of our coldest months of the year, but of course, it's in the 40s and muddy. Luckily, we have lots of room, so we can kind of give the animals a break from the mud. We close off our pastures in the winter time so that the horses kind of have a sacrifice area, which the sacrifice area gets gross, but at least their pastures are really nice and luscious and full of amazing grass once the spring comes. We have the advantage of being able to grow a whole lot of things because our summers are fairly mild and we get a break from mud. That's awesome. One of the best things that I found about homesteading in the Northeast and in upstate New York is you really learn to appreciate the beautiful days. And it sounds silly because it's like, oh, well, we get a lot of bad days, which is the downside, but you learn to appreciate like a gloriously sunny, warm day in the middle of winter. You find it surprising and it really lifts your spirits. Sometimes I feel like it's a way that God can speak to me if I'm having a really hard day, a hard week. It's just a reminder of His faithfulness. So I do find that the rarity of it makes it all the more beautiful when it does happen. I think Chris is just pulling up. I think I heard his car in the driveway. So those are some main points I would say that I love about homesteading in upstate New York. Another thing I love about the Northeast is the mountains, the hills, the valleys. You have so many different terrains and landscapes, and there's so many areas you can travel to within a driving distance, so many different states you can explore. I know we've been to Boston, we've been to New York City, we've been to some major cities, but we've also been to some beautiful parks. You know, we went to Acadia Park in Maine and visited friends there. We've spent some time in New Hampshire. We've seen some beautiful areas in Pennsylvania. There's just a lot that it has to offer, and the landscape is pretty dynamic. You're also not too far from the coast in some areas, so you can see some really gorgeous coastline, and the beaches in Maine are amazing. I will say the biggest drawback for us in New York State is the taxes. We have really high taxes. It's almost about half of our monthly payment for our mortgage. And so even once we pay off our mortgage, one day down the road, we will still have a pretty high tax payment if we stay here. I know a lot of people don't like New York because of the policies and strict laws, but we haven't really seen that be a problem for us personally. So definitely something to consider if you're here, if you're wanting to stay here, if you're wanting to move here. So anyways, but I would love to hear from my fellow Northeasters about their experiences. What do you love about homesteading or farming? What do you love about living in the Northeast and living out that lifestyle? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I want this message to be an encouragement that there are some awesome things about living out here. Of course, there are some cons. There are cons everywhere, but we have been really happy here, and we want to appreciate every little aspect of this life while we're here. We may not be here forever, but for now, we're going to enjoy it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. As I said, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and please hit that subscribe button.